The start of the chapter continues the conversation with Ippo and the coach about the match in Mexico. Ippo is closer than he's ever been to Miguel and Wally, and treasures the experience. The coach can tell something's on his mind, and asks Ippo. Ippo responds that he's just thinking back on the memories of the match, and it makes him feel all itchy. The coach knows exactly how he feels, and he pulls off his tie, and is basically like, "Let's fucking go!" I love that there is basically 4 panels of them doing mitt work together. It has definitely been a while since they've done this and warms my heart. If I remember correctly, last time they did this was when Ippo asked for mitts to train his new student, and the coach needed to practice since Takamaru was returning to his regular training regiment. This was back in chapter 1240. This was actually when we first saw Ippo take off his wrist weights and the first mitt practice post-retirement. We saw that he was not only not rusty at all, but after the coach told him to speed up the tempo, he stopped hitting the mitts flush, and his rhythm was all over the place. Yagi first thought it was because the coach was speeding up, but in fact, everyone could tell it was because Ippo was much faster than the coach. Kamogawa himself said that he was losing track of him because he was weaving too fast for him to see, and the mitts were too slow to catch his next punch. Then right after that, Ippo finally lands a flush on the mitt and sends the coach's arm flying backwards. We skip to after the mitt session where the coach is lying down on the couch in his office covered in sweat, staring at his hand that's throbbing and numb. He contemplates Ippo's words about how truly fantastic Miguel and Wally's efforts was when they did everything they could, and questioning to himself, what about me? Did I do everything I could? Did I really give it my all? And then complains about how hard Ippo was hitting the mitts because his hands were still numb. Then he has a coughing fit, which could be some dark foreshadowing about the coach's health. I have heard he's been hospitalized numerous times before because of a cold. But is it really? He did live in Japan after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He wasn't in the hot zone, but it still could have had lasting effects no matter how you look at it. Numb hands is a common theme that has come up a lot after anyone holds the mitts for Ippo post-retirement. I took this panel from the mitt holding the coach did for practice for Takamaru. It looks incredibly similar, right? When Sendo asked for advice from Ippo for his fight with Alfredo and held the mitts for Ippo so he could replicate his left hook, he sends the mitt flying off his hand. Which, by the way, Sendo was using 2 hands. When he left, his hands were also throbbing. Finally, when Takamaru held the mitts for Ippo and ran into the bathroom, he also stared at his hand because it was twitching. I would even bet they were numb too. I just wanted to point out that the only person who was able to successfully hold mitts for Ippo while Ippo was going full strength was an active world champion that has belts in 3 different divisions, which is totally insane to think about. And even still, his hands were in some sort of pain for him to be looking at them that intensely. I also want to point out that not only did Ippo win the competition of mitt holding with Takamaru, but he also won the stamina contest when they were running together. They were both exhausted when they stopped, but Ippo had other things to do, so he ran back, all the way back, down the river, while Takamaru said that he was too tired to even move. Speaking about running back, let's get back to the current chapter. We cut back to Ippo running to his house and taking in the scenery, running past the tree that started his boxing journey, and thinking to himself there's something missing, even though he's home back again. When he finally runs into Wanpo, Kumi, his students, and I'm going to butcher his name, Itagaki, then realizing it was them, his friends, and he's home. For predictions, I still stand by what I said last video. I believe there's going to be some kind of conversation with Miyata, especially since the end of the chapter is captioned back in daily life, but with fire in his heart. What will come of this fire? Will it cinder out or burst into a new sun? Plus, after the last mid session with the coach, this was when Miyata called out Ippo for him being punch drunk, which Ippo didn't ever reply about. And then ironically, they started talking about how horrible Miyata looked in his match. Like, staying in featherweight was the very thing that took away his wings, or in other words, his footwork. Then, I think we will get news about it in an upcoming match. It could be Mashipa's world title shot, Takamaru's next weight conquest, or even Miyata's next match, which could lead to disaster. User KY6 commented last video about if Miyata and Ippo talked about Miyata challenging him. Ippo will say no because Miyata's health. It could be, but Ippo would have to climb the ranks again before that talk could happen. Ippo would have to have a return match, kick the guy's ass, and then I think the Japanese champion, Mr. 1R, or Mr. 1-Rounder, Imiya, I don't know if I'm not pronouncing that right, would challenge him. We already know how frustrated he is about not being able to fight anyone that inspired him to box in the first place. It would be hype, because I think Ippo would flip the tables on him. He would use the new freestyle Dempsey roll, take no damage, and then flatten him in the first round. I can't think of a better revival for the Wind God's return. Like always, thank you all for watching the video. Please like the video if you enjoyed. It helps with getting the video out there for other Hajime no Ippo fans. We gotta keep the interest alive. Hopefully one day we'll get a new anime season. Subscribe and hit the bell button to keep updated with each chapter review and predictions. And leave a comment about what you think is going to happen in the future. I want to hear from you guys and make it an open conversation, because I know you guys can bring things to my attention that I might not have even thought about. Till next time, keep fighting on. Bye.